Blog Talk Radio.
Playing Sports City Chefs from Amazon Music.
Yeah. Woo. Let's go. Y'all need to sit back, listen, enjoy the vibe. Sip something, light it up, enjoy the ride. Cause the Sports City Chefs is on tonight. In the kitchen cooking up, they on the rise. Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs. Yes, Lord, we got a brand new president. Joe Biden, we riding, I pray you heaven sent. Word from the wise, my people stay ahead of me. I've been relevant, trying to survive the elements. It ain't no love in these streets, these dudes telling it. Case go from cold to hot, state's evidence. Kaboom, Sports City Chefs is in the room. Cooking up hot topics to put up on your spoon. They well in tune, blown like a flower in June. Superman vs. MF Doom, the clouds loom. So tell a friend it's the Sports City Chefs again. Pay attention, tune in, we on the set again. Sports City, Chefs, Sports City, Chefs, yeah. Cabby, Taj.
Connecticut.
Yeah, Sports City, you already know how this thing go down. Welcome to another episode at the Sunday Morning Brunch. Here with the Sports City Chefs. Y'all could have been anywhere else in the world, but y'all are here with some of the best cooks that put this food for thought work in, and that's for sure. There's a lot of stuff that went down this past couple of days, at least from Thursday till now. Shout out to everybody that's been contributing, listening in, giving us good thoughts and vibes, and we actually out of nowhere went up to 6 shows a week. So there was a show yesterday, the College Campus Tailgate Show, and the tailgate show went so good that the hour went by completely fast. So to everybody that liked the format and everything that we got going on and trying to simulcast and things of that nature, thank you. Continue to spread the word. If you have any thoughts or comments or opinions, please send an email to sportscitychefs@gmail.com. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to unpack here and plate, and hopefully everybody get in here and start getting their, their dishes together. But I'm going to get a lot of this stuff out the way before the kitchen starts filling up, things of that nature. The first thing I do want to get to is something that's actually close to me because I actually know the individual, and this is in the MMA form, where Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, takes care of business up against Gilbert Burns. Now, mind you, these two both had a streak going on coming into this fight. These guys know each other well, training against each other for hours and years, if you will, just to throw that in there. And both of them had their, their segments of trash talking each other just to get the event hyped up and things of that nature. And it started out to an early storm where Burns actually caught Kamaru a couple of times and staggered him and looked like he was going to win the fight early because it rocked Usman. Usman actually found it deep within to stay on his feet and not get rocked as bad as how it looked, and came back around in the third round and actually threw a barrage of punches and started rocking Burns, and Burns fell to the floor, and he got over top of him and started throwing the barrage of punches again to get the stoppage from the referee. So Usman winning by TKO last night up against Gilbert Burns was an actual good fight, and I liked it from start to finish. Burns wasn't backing away, and it seems like everybody that Usman's fighting, they're giving him a good fight. It's not like he's just completely dominating him. He's actually going into these fights having a good toe-to-toe, and then he actually shows the will to out-will these guys and then ends up dominating like when it counts. Or the Masvidal fight, he actually took care of business, but it wasn't like a dominating fight, but he didn't let Jorge get what he wanted to get within the fight. So after the fight, Usman starts calling out Masvidal again, saying, you took a 6-day, request to come and fight me. He's like, I'll give you a whole training camp to come fight me again. So the aura is built up around that fight. I definitely want to see it again, as a lot of people were saying, well, all Usman did was hug him and didn't really fight as much. He stamped on his feet and things of that nature. But, I mean, it comes within the octagon. These are rules that are within the fighting form. So I can't really get mad at what he was able to do in that fight up against Masvidal, but it was a great situation that he's able to win that fight and move on and be able to retain his belt. And he is now in the talks of being with George St. Pierre on the longest streak within the MMA. So he's in legendary form. Even John Bones Jones going out there saying he's the best in welterweight in his class, being referred to as the GOAT. But a lot of people are still saying that they want to see him give the rematch to Masvidal. So I want to see how this works out. If he does end up fighting Masvidal again, if he wins it, then what? Because then he'll actually eclipse George St. Pierre, and a lot of people have to give him his credit for winning that fight twice. And Masvidal, I know that this will actually help him rebuild his situation because he won the BMF belt and things of that nature, and him and Diaz going at it. And I know he's a mainstay. He's one of those, get ready camera type of guys, and he's actually earned it. I can't really talk bad about Masvidal the way that he has been fighting in the octagon, but I think that this sets up for a very good situation, at least for the UFC, to build the drama around the way that these two have been fighting lately. Okay, I do have a caller in queue, calling out of the 917. Welcome to the brunch. What's your name and what's on your mind this morning? 917, are you with me? Okay, just let me know when you want to get in here. I'll put you back in queue and press 1 if you want to speak. I'll continue to roll. So the next thing I'm going to get into is the NCAA basketball. I'm going to do the scores in at least the top 25 or some of the notables around the nation. And like I said, in the college campus tailgate yesterday, we dug into a lot of these teams, including my own team, being a diehard Georgetown fan. Now, here goes the crazy part. I was talking junk about Georgetown, and these guys come up with a win yesterday. And it was a decent one, but it's not like it was a big team. They played Butler and beat Butler. Butler beat them earlier this year as Georgetown had a double-digit lead out there in Indiana, and Butler came out and won that game, and I felt it in the midst of the game. And that was my question in front of Patrick Ewing, is like, he's not the coach. For him to pull off a big win, he has a big recruiting class coming. It's very interesting to see what Patrick can do, but I don't think this is the guy. Like, I feel bad because he is a notable by way of, Georgetown legacy and him being one of the biggest pieces of John Thompson's championship, or the piece of John Thompson's championship run. And, after John Thompson, it was Eshrick, and then they got John Thompson's son in there. And we had, there were good runs, but they really got to the tournament, really couldn't make a difference. But I'm getting beside myself because I'm actually spilling into a lot of Georgetown, and I'd rather get to the top 25 before I do anything. So let me get to these scores. First and foremost, Gonzaga wins their matchup up against San Francisco, no-brainer. They win this 100-61. Now, in the tailgate show yesterday, people were actually speaking about Gonzaga's success, and they don't believe in them, where I do. I think Gonzaga this could be their year. But I know it's probably going to have to take place to see what they're all about when the tournament comes. And I don't feel good about what I see right now because they're storming these teams, and they might go into the tournament lackadaisical and lose to a Cinderella. And that's something I don't want to end up seeing because they're running the table. They're 20-0, and doing what they need to do within their schedule. I mean, they play on the West Coast in Washington, and you can only probably send them as much as probably, 5 or 7 games that are out of conference. After that, they do what they have to do. So Gonzaga, keep doing it. I want to see Mark Few get his championship because this guy is a great coach, and every year he has one of these seasons where it's like 28-2, 27-3, 30-2, and then they get into the tournament, go as far as the Elite Eight or the Final Four and lose, So this could be the potential team that could actually bring him a championship back. I'm hoping we see it, but let me continue. The next matchup I have within the top 25, Ohio State cruises up against Indiana, winning this game 78-59. And the crazy thing about Indiana, they have talent, but their record doesn't show it. They're 11-9 on the season. They're 6-7 within the Big Ten. Trace Jackson Davis, which is Dale Davis's son, He had 23-9 in the matchup, and Ohio State Justice is suing at 16-10, a double-double in the matchup. Creighton with the biggest upset of the evening, and the crazy part is Villanova's top 5. Creighton wins this matchup 86-70, in which I'm going to continue to say the Big East has the best basketball in the nation. And, yeah, I'm being biased, but I don't care. I'm going to say it how I want to say it. The best basketball comes out of the Big East. For this type of massacre up against Villanova, who's a championship caliber team, could easily get to at least the Elite Eight or the Final Four. They beat them by 16, 86-70. Justin Moore had 21-point night for Villanova. Mitch Ballack had 4 rebounds and 3 assists. Now here goes a problem that I see right now. The next matchup is state line battle. North Carolina goes into Charlottesville and loses to the Cavaliers 60-48. The Cavaliers are undefeated when they hold, or I think it's like 11-1 or something like that, where they hold the team under 50. They are virtually unbeatable, and this happened up against North Carolina. Now, this is a team that I spoke about yesterday during the tailgate, and the crazy part about it was I was talking about the coaches that have the quality team that aren't getting the best out of them, at least in this season. North Carolina has been suffering this for at least the past 2 or 3 seasons with Roy Williams, in which I respect Roy Williams, and I like him as a coach, so I can't really get down on him. But for the past 2 or 3 seasons, North Carolina has been behind the 8 ball, if you will. And then last season, he was like, well, just fire me, get rid of me. And he was saying that, like, because he wasn't coaching well. It wasn't like people were coming after his job or anybody in the media talking junk about him. It's just that I think it was getting to him. And it's showing right now, especially with the class that he has right now. And they have to turn over from being freshmen. They're freshmen. They're new, wet behind the ears, if you will. But they are 12-7 on the season, 7-5 within the ACC. Virginia is cruising. They're 15-3 on the season, 11-1. Nothing real impressive from North Carolina. The best game I see is Armando Bakut. He has 7 points and 10 rebounds, and Jay Huff had an 18-12 double-double night for Virginia. But thing with Roy Williams, like I said, I respect him. I love him as a coach. He's one of those people type of coaches. They have to help him, or we've actually talked about it yesterday, give the job to a notable like Hubert Davis or somebody else that is probably younger and can reach these kids better than what he can right now. And I get it. I understand that it's a pandemic. You really can't be too in sync with these individuals, but you're practicing with them, and you are a championship coach. So you know what it takes to get these guys to the mountaintop. And Carolina does not look like it. I think they're going to, crawl their way into the ACC tournament. I don't know how dangerous they can be as in the Big Dance if the committee selects them. I think North Carolina may get in, but it'd be tough to see it happen, especially the way that they are playing. They have to figure this out on the fly. Another thing with that situation is what they're going to do when it comes to the ACC, because a lot of these teams in the ACC are strong, and this was an ACC matchup, especially up against Virginia, who's probably the best team, or if not is the best team in the conference as well. So these are things to consider while they move forward in the season, because we're coming to the end of February, and March Madness is right around the corner. So the interesting thing about that is the conference tournament is going to be tough. Everybody plays the best when they play North Carolina, and they're not going to see an easy way or easy path getting there. So that's what I have to say about that. Now, moving right along, as I show my frustrations on North Carolina, like I'm a North Carolina fan, we have another upset. Arkansas beats Missouri in Missouri 86-81 in a overtime matchup. Now, here goes the crazy thing about the Hogs, or the Razorbacks, excuse me. They've always been a personal favorite of mine. I thought that they could always do something interesting. After the season of Nolan Richardson and things of that nature, but this is a big upset. But for them to be unranked, to come up against Missouri and win this matchup, winning it 86-81. The next matchup I have is Georgia going up against Alabama. Now, this has to be one of the surprise teams this season. The score was 115-82, in which Georgia is now 11th ranked in the nation. doing the best that they can with this team, and guys like Petty Jr., who've actually found themselves and been able to put together an interesting run for this season alone. But they win this game by 33 up against Georgia, another SEC battle. Alabama's looking like they could be one of the best in that conference and potentially ending up winning the SEC in the SEC tournament, which should be coming up soon. The next matchup I have is Oklahoma going up against West Virginia in a Big 12 matchup. This actually took double overtime to end. This took place in Morganton, West Virginia, and Oklahoma squeezed this one out, being 12th ranked up against the 14th ranked Bob Huggins team, 91-90 in a 1-point victory. And it took double overtime for this one, and one of those get your popcorn type ready games. I give the Big 12 credit. They've actually been putting up a good season this year, and I don't know. Because I'm in the midst of Big 12 games, and they're back-to-back. So the next matchup I have is, and we talked about this yesterday on Tailgate, Texas wins their matchup against TCU 70-55, a game that they needed to win because you don't want to keep falling, especially being out of the Big 12 and not knowing what you're going to expect when the committee looks at you, especially when the Big 12 Conference Championship should be coming around the corner. I think they're one of the favorites to win. Between them, Texas Tech as well in Kansas, it should be pretty interesting because there's some parity at the top, at least in this year, when the conference championship comes around. The next matchup, now this is crazy because Iowa, okay, let me calm down because I feel like I'm speeding, right? So Iowa wins this matchup against Michigan State in East Lansing, right? So they beat them 88-58. This is the worst home loss in Tom Izzo's career there at Michigan State. The Spartans have not seen this happen. So this was a team, Michigan State got out of the blocks running pretty well, and they got out of the blocks pretty well, and they cruised, and then they started losing, and now they are out of the top 25. Now, I picked on three coaches being Roy Williams, Coach K, and Calipari. I also squoze in Bill Self, but now I have to throw Tom Izzo into the discussion. Now, mind you, Iowa won this big, and one of the Naismith Players of the Year, in Luke Garza, he only had 8 points in the matchup. They didn't need him to play his big-time game, and they won by 30. If Luke wanted to go all out, they could have potentially scored 100 because of 12 more points, and this could have been a brutal loss. So I don't know if it's more or less along the lines of recruiting or things of that nature, but I know Michigan State needs to figure this out. I do have a co-host here calling in by way of the Connecticut region of the United States, my nemesis, the villain, a.k.a. Barry Jordan. Welcome to the brunch. How are you feeling this morning?
Villain. He's his own biggest fan. And he got a fan base as big as Japan. Yeah? And all hail the king and give him 3 cheers, fam. What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man. Just chilling, cruising through the scoreboard, at least college basketball-wise, and giving my thoughts. And I didn't see that the queue was filled up. I tried to get a caller in and just started rolling with the show, man. How you feeling this morning?
I'm good, man. I'm listening to the scores. I wanted to get in. I got to get in on that college basketball talk. You know where I got to go with it. UConn.
Okay, what is we didn't. They are not in the top 25, but we could squeeze them in there.
Put some respect. No. Put some respect on STP because you talked about Georgetown. I'm not. You opened with Georgetown. Georgetown's not in the top 25, so come on, we can do it. Come on.
Okay, so you were listening at that point in time. See what they do to me, Port City. When I start cooking, they smell the smoke, right? They smell the smoke. They come to the kitchen, start howling. They start dogs outside of Color Purple when Miss Philly started cooking up for Sugar Avery, and now this is what I get. You know what I'm saying? I open the doors, and the dogs get in here and start going crazy. So
exactly.
If I started with Georgetown, go ahead.
No, you know what? Real quick with Georgetown, I think you got to give Patrick Ewing a chance, man. You said it. He's got a recruiting class that's pretty good coming in. You can't give the guy a couple of years and throw him out. It's not like the pros, man. You got to let him build the program. And the program was pretty low from where it was, before he got there. So I think you got to give him some time and get his guys in, put his program in place, get the kind of athletes that he needs to run his system. And then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Now, Juwan Howard had more success faster at Michigan. They're number 3 in the country. Nice win. I mean, they got a big game that they probably should get a win against Wisconsin today. But, he's gotten them going right away. But, he started off slow his first year. Fast his first year and then, slowed down a little bit. So, still, he needs to kind of get his class and the guys he needed in. So, I think you got to give Georgetown a little bit of time. That's just my opinion. But as far as UConn, nice win. Xavier's a very good team. And it kind of bothers me because they've lost I think like 4 out of the last 5 games. They were 3-4 coming in to yesterday's game with Xavier without their best player Bouknight. But UConn's got talent. They got players that can play, and it's like they're playing scared. They're they're hesitant to shoot. They don't really know what just really playing scared. And it's like, thank God for R.J. Cole having a career game, 24 points, 7 assists, I think 4 rebounds. But they've got talent on that team. They just need to go get it going, and they need to remember that even though Bouknight's not healthy, they can still win games because you take away the game against you take the losses to Seton Hall and George St. John's. They're probably still in the top 25. So. COVID's kind of hit them a little bit, and they've had a lot of games, moved around or canceled or what have you. But now they got to start getting wins, and they got to start believing that even without Bouknight, that they can win games, which I think they can, and they just got to go get in there and do it.
Yeah, well, they won this game on the road up against Xavier by 8 points. So I'll give UConn some credit for winning a game up against Xavier, but this isn't the Xavier that we're used to seeing. But they get a road win.
But Xavier's a good team. Xavier's still a good team. They're 11-2 coming into the game.
You gotta let. Okay, so you're speaking for me. Then okay, lawyer villain here. I'll let you allude to it. Okay, so let me at least finish the top 25, and I'll get to the rest of these guys.
We can roll through it together. Let's go. Let's roll.
So any of the top 25 that I went through that you heard me discuss, is there anything that you like to discuss, whether Gonzaga, how you feel about them? Because the tailgate, that actually turned out to a big situation. People don't believe Gonzaga can do their thing. Creighton with their win up against Villanova as well. That was a
big game.
So, but a big blowout too. And the North Carolina situation with Roy Williams, and they're falling apart real bad. Limping toward the ACC tournament. I don't know how they'll stand up within the first 2 or 3 rounds in that tournament as well. So, and how you may feel about Alabama or the big win for Oklahoma in Morganton up against the Mountaineers, and then I could proceed. Iowa with the big upset up against Michigan State, this is the biggest loss that Tom Izzo's ever suffered in Lansing, Michigan.
Is it though? Iowa's a good team. They're ranked. Michigan, they're kind of, but I think it's a big, to your point, I think it's a big loss or big win for Iowa because it's on the road, and they handed them their they handed them their tail. So, I think from that perspective, it's a big win. How is Arkansas not ranked? They're a good basketball team. I don't understand how 16-5 they're not ranked. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I think it was a statement game for them against Missouri on the road, and I think they'll definitely get into the top 25, get some respect on their name. I tend to understand what everybody on the campus tailgate yesterday was kind of alluding to with Gonzaga. Listen, 20-0 on the road, taking care of business against an average San Francisco team. But we've seen this from Gonzaga before. We've seen them, with talent, really kind of go either wire to wire or really sneak up and then get into that top 10, top 5, but then kind of fall apart in the tournament. I think we're holding that against them. This is a good team. Drew Timey, he hit double. He's a good player, and I think we have to kind of look at these guys and say, they're not. I don't think they're the same Gonzaga team. I don't think they have that kind of makeup where they get into the tournament and they're going to fall apart. I think they're mentally a little tougher, and I think they're going to make some noise. I don't know if they're going to win the national championship. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, it's like kind of like my UConn Huskies with Kemba Walker. It can take that one hot team that gets into the tournament that can pick them off because it's one and done. But, you know, Gonzaga, you know, should be favorites to win it. I think they're a good basketball team. And you know what? You bring a good Creighton, like you said, good win, you know, at home against a very good Villanova team. You know, I got to see a little bit more from Villanova. I didn't like that loss on the road, even though it was on the road. You know, that's a better team than I think I've been seeing lately. You know, I want to see a little bit more from them, hopefully in the Big East tournament. But to your point, North Carolina, you know, they're running out of time too, just like UConn is. And, you know, even though they're 12-7, they should get into the tournament. You know, will the real Tar Heel team stand up? What are we going to see from them? You know, Virginia is a good basketball team. Don't take anything away from them. They deserve where they're at right now. But, you know, North Carolina with Roy Williams, I mean, they got to start putting some wins together themselves. And you know, no better time to do it with the tournament right around the corner. But, you know, they better turn it on and keep it on, or they're going to be out very quickly. So I think that's my takeaway. And I'm just like I said earlier when I started on, like, how is Arkansas not ranked? That's a good basketball team, man. Like, you know, it kind of, you know, it's kind of a weird year because you had so many teams ranked and then they kind of get like postponed and they, you know, they get games moved around. So it's hard to take them out of the top 25. You know what I mean? But I mean, listen, they had an earlier loss against Missouri. So I guess, you know, that kind of held against them, and then they lost to Tennessee. So they've lost some top games, but I mean, they've won some nice games too. And now they have this game under their belt with Missouri, you know, on the road. So that's a nice win for them. But they, you know, they got Alabama coming up, who I really like. I like Alabama this year too. So that's going to be a big game at home that they need to get. Don't look too far ahead, but that's a game that they need to kind of, as a statement win.
Okay, and your thoughts on we're moving forward. I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to add toward the Tom Izzo situation, with this being a bigger loss and him not really getting them to the promised land, winning a championship? And I don't think this is a year that he can have that happen. You know.
I mean, do you think he's you want me to say, is he on the hot seat, or do you just think, like, you know, what's going on in Michigan, like that kind of scenario? Because I don't see him on the hot seat.
I don't want to beat him up too bad, because I am a Tom Izzo fan, as him being a coach. But
yeah,
this is a questionable situation. They're 4-8 in the Big Ten, and I'm not that high on Big Ten basketball play, and they're heavily under 500. This is the same situation, or the same candle that I'm holding toward Roy Williams and his coaching abilities in the ACC. They're all kind of tied or linked in together. So your thoughts on that, and then I'll get to the remainder of the top. I'm not as down on the Big Ten as you are. I think there are some good teams there. Rutgers is a nice surprise. Michigan, of course. You know, Wisconsin's a good basketball team as well. Iowa's a good team too. I think they don't get enough credit. I think it's the inconsistency. I think, you know, they just came off a really nice win against Rutgers and beat them up pretty good. And then you come at home against a Purdue team that's meh, and you don't show up. I think that's the problem. I think the kids basically aren't consistent game to game, because, you know, they had a tough stretch where they lost to, you know, Northwestern, and they lost to a good Wisconsin team and a solid Minnesota team. You know, and you know, it wasn't close. Like, those games were blowouts. They didn't play good basketball at all. And then they come up and they get a nice win against Rutgers, like I said. So I think it's the inconsistency. You're right. 4-8 in conference is not good enough. That's not a good record for this team. If they had got either a couple of those wins, flipped it around, at least to get 6-6,
this is a team that's ranked and it's playing a lot better. But they're not. They're just inconsistent. So I think Izzo's got to find a way to get the right lineup in place and get the right guys minutes and get them winning, in a winning mentality because, like we said, time is running out. And I think the inconsistency on this team is gonna hurt them. You know what I mean? I don't know. Henry and Hauser have to be the guys. I think they have to kind of get in there, and they've got to be consistent scorers night in and night out if this team is going to make any kind of noise. But I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't know.
And I agree. Like the Big Ten is top heavy, so it's like if they're going to end up being one of the bottom teams, being Michigan State, they're going to run into one of these top heavy teams. And for Iowa to have this type of confidence going up against Michigan State in a bigger setting of a Big Ten championship or whoever may be up there, like you said, Rutgers is, pretty big with Ron Harper's son. Ron Harper Jr. has been doing work there. And I was high on Wisconsin at one point, but they've been losing a lot of questionable games down the stretch, and it's like they've always had that team that's always played good up until the tournament and end up sliding away late, or we remember that Frank Kaminsky came there and got as far as the finals but couldn't handle Anthony Davis and company. But that's just to talk about the Big Ten quickly. But the Tom Izzo situation, I am going to give him another 2 to 3 years. If this doesn't get better, we did lose some of the big names, especially the point guard and Cassius. Cassius left for the league. I got to be fair because that guy was the leader of the pack. And so if he can't get his recruiting together and this continues to show that he's going to end up probably having double-double type records, like 10 losses but like 20 wins, it's not getting better. Because Michigan State is one of those teams that you're going to see them play good basketball throughout the season, but when it comes tournament time, they fall short. And it has to get better, even though I feel like he's probably a mainstay similar to what Coach K is and Duke because of all that he's gone through and has done for the respective university. But it has to turn around. Okay.
Yeah,
let me get
and
to the
like Wisconsin, real quick with Wisconsin, like, and I don't want to harp on it too. Not Wisconsin, I mean Michigan State. I don't know. You listen, you're not going to get Izzo. I don't ever see him being on the hot seat. Like, I just don't see that. But I agree. I think he needs to turn it around. He's got to get these kids consistent and playing, solid basketball, especially at this time of year. I mean, you can't come into the tournament limping into the tournament. That is, you'll get picked off, and it's hard for these kids to turn it on and off. So, I agree with you. It's not like a couple year thing, but he needs to get these guys going, and he can do it. He's a motivator. He's been there before.
Oh, I'm calling what he brings to the table as in reaching these kids because he's a people's coach and a player's coach. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm an Izzo fan because he's one of those great speakers, and you could tell the genuineness in him. But that love toward him ain't gonna supply his wins or the outcome on seasons or him dominating the Big Ten championship or getting as far as the Final Four consistently. Like, this is the same light that I'm holding toward Patrick Ewing. Like, Patrick Ewing is loved by everybody in Georgetown because he got the lone championship that Georgetown was able to get. It's like, no, he has to be able to go out there and provide as a coach. Now, the crazy thing about it is his recruiting class is turning over as much as probably next year, too, with Dikembe Mutombo's son coming in. He also has a 5-star recruit coming. First time Georgetown's been able to get a 5-star recruit in over a decade. So it's like, okay, well, let's see what you have coming next season. If you can't make anything happen with this is the reason why the NBA did not touch you as a head coach, that you had people pleading and begging for you to get that job, and it did not come to you. So you have to have this turnaround instead of being in the huddle, having cameras over you, and you just them just hearing you yell at these guys, not coming up with a play that they come out of the huddle and imply toward the game. So that don't get me to start fumbling over him because I feel a certain way about Georgetown and Patrick Ewing. Like, that's a whole nother story. I want to finish these so I could. So there's a lot. There's a lot today.
There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack.
Tennessee loses their matchup on the road up against LSU, 78-65. Florida State wins their matchup in an ACC matchup up against Wake Forest, 92-85. USC continues their run in the Pac-12, winning 76-65 up against Washington State. Loyola Chicago, this is something that we talked about yesterday as well. They cruised up against Drake 81-54. Now, Drake was 19-1. A lot of people were high on what they were able to do this season. Loyola brought them back to earth. So this is a very interesting situation, but people still think Drake could end up making the tournament. So that'd be interesting in itself to see.
They should. 19-2, they should make the tournament. And I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, but a blowout like this and them being in the NBC conference, like they're going to have to either put up an interesting run with this 19-2 season that they're on, especially in the conference play, that if people don't respect what Gonzaga's doing out west, they have to hold Drake to the same standard, you know. So they just can't pick on one that's been doing it for year after year. So let's keep this even. I'm not saying you. I'm just talking about the writers.
Exactly.
The committee.
Yeah.
Right. Oklahoma State wins their matchup up against Kansas State 67-60 in a game where this shouldn't have been close because Kansas State is horrible this year. 5-17 on the year, 1-12 in Big 12 play. Cade Cunningham goes off for 15 points and 4 rebounds. And to round out the top 25, Rutgers wins their matchup up against Northwestern 64-50. Ron Harper Jr. had a pretty good game too, but also for Rutgers, Miles Johnson had a 12.14 rebound effort with a double-double up against Northwestern. Games that were canceled due to the COVID, and this sucks because it's a matchup that you want to see. Texas Tech and Baylor, 2 top 10 teams, both of them in the Big 12. And knowing that I'm mad that Mac left, and I really put it in front of Patrick Ewing. Mac left Georgetown, and he's gone to Texas Tech, and not only gone there and been successful, he's the guy on their team. Like, they gave him the keys and said drive, and he's the closer and everything. And I'm like, what didn't Patrick not see in this kid? And Louisville and Virginia Tech did not play in COVID play or was postponed due to the COVID. So anything that you've heard before I do get away from the top 25?
Yeah, it's unfortunate Baylor and Texas Tech didn't get the chance to meet because I was definitely looking for that game. I like Baylor. You know, I think they're solid. I think, you know, they're easily one of the top 4 teams in the country. So it would have been nice to see them get a nice win, a statement win, or at least put a good foot in front of them. Texas Tech could have used that game too, just like UConn could have used the game against Villanova that got postponed last week. So, you know, it's unfortunate for Texas Tech. So we'll see. Hopefully they can make it up at some point. But I just like to see Baylor against some really good competition, just to kind of get a gauge on how they're going to play in the tournament. That's kind of how you know, I can pick my bracket. You know what I mean? To kind of see them playing against these teams on a nice Saturday where there's no other sports really competing with them, so I can focus on them and see what's going on.
I mean, they've been winning their games in the Big 12. They beat Kansas. They're beating Oklahoma State. These guys are top 25 teams. Like, that Texas Tech game is the lone game that we want to look at, but Texas Tech got up for Texas, but I want to see what they were able to do with Baylor. I would never count Baylor out of the top 2. Like, it's a fight with them and Gonzaga. Like, forget you saying top 4, top 5. Like, no, they're the cream of the crop. Like, people are chasing them. Like, they're a great team, but they're the hunted, you know.
No, yeah, the 4-1 seeds. That's kind of always where I think the top 4. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, they're cream of the crop. If they're not as good as Gonzaga, they're better. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm at with them.
Okay, so we do have a caller in queue. We have out of the 703, the 412, the 706, the 757, the 80-something, 804. Yeah, that's Virginia too. 804. Yeah, I know. We have Aaron Simmons in the building. Welcome. How are you feeling this morning at the brunch?
You some got 540, 571. I mean, if you want to do it big, man. What's going on, gentlemen? How we doing this morning?
I'm trying. I'm trying. I at least try to give you every little bit of your area so you can feel at home, but you come up in here and start bringing muddy shoes in the doggone kitchen. So how you doing this morning? How was the good word today?
You know what I'm saying? The good word was good, man. I come on here and we talking college basketball, which is also good. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a purpose, and I'm going to tell you why I'm here. Besides kicking with you guys, we was on this network, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday this past week, And we're supposed to have some type of statistical, analytical understandings from, one Greenwood about some type of. I'm waiting for that. Please bring that to me immediately.
Hold on. All of that is set up. You just keep on cruising down the road. We everything is set up according to plans. There are people here. There are people here. Relax. That smoke is here. I got that pot simmering. When I need to turn that heat up, it will bubble. Look. Every show in his kitchen this week has been complete fire. I'm trying my best to do this right. I'm trying to do this right. You just chill. Everything is okay. So, anything else that you like to talk about top 25 series before I get away from this, including how you may feel about North Carolina? And I don't know how to dissect this, if this is more the players or Roy Williams' strategy, or anything else with the top 25 that you'd like to discuss before I get away from it.
Not with the top 25, man. I mean, the Tar Heels are the Tar Heels. I do think we find a way to backdoor ourselves into the tournament, but it's weird not having, North Carolina, Duke, and a lot of the staple college programs, basketball-wise, playing dominant ball. But salute to those who are Gonzaga and Baylor, like you alluded to. It could be a changing of the guard. I'm not too sure what's going on with Roy Williams. I'm not sure if it's time or whatever, but at the end of the day, Tar Heels are going to be the Tar Heels, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This is the type of time where, teams really start to solidify themselves, and when teams that are quote-unquote on the bubble, so to speak, start to separate themselves or make a case for themselves. I believe today is Selection Sunday on a lot of different platforms, a lot of different media outlets. So it's going to be interesting to see what takes place and who goes where. But time to get those brackets out, time to get the plugging things in, and trying to see what's going on, man. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Okay, so before this kid just starts to light up and get extremely hot, I'm going to do the NBA scores and things that I saw yesterday that I feel intrigued about. So the first matchup I have are the 76ers going into Phoenix and losing their matchup 120-111. Here's where I start already. Sports City, including, one of the people that comes here, cooks on Monday evening, Royce King. He's a diehard Sixers fan. If the Sixers can't get quality or big wins on the road, I don't care how the record looks in the middle of South Philadelphia. I am not buying them. And it's easy to continue to pick on, Simmons can't shoot. He has to develop that shot. He has to keep the defense honest. Otherwise, he's setting the team back. I could care less if people don't want to hear it, so on and so forth. But this is a game that they have to go out there and try to win. I feel like they had the advantage, whether if they were in Phoenix or in Philadelphia, with Embiid being able to. I think Embiid should have his way up against Ayton, and they lose this game 120-111, in which Booker had a good night, though. I can't even talk. I have to talk more about Devin Booker. I have to. But he's been able to improve his play. Him and Chris Paul are starting to figure it out. But I don't know if it's more or less a situation where Doc is going to have to get shooters involved and try to win these games other than being in the hands of Embiid and Tobias Harris and, guys that they're mildly bringing off the bench into the game, like and Seth Curry was brought there to be one of these guys. Danny Green has been another guy. But, again, if they can't win big games on the road, that's where my question mark starts with the Philadelphia 76ers. I could care less on what they look like in Pennsylvania. The next matchup I have, the Indiana Pacers go into Atlanta and win this matchup 125-113 up against the Hawks, in which a lot of people seen an improvement to the Atlanta Hawks, but they are losing these games now lately, and they're potentially looking like they're going to end up falling out of the top 8. But it's still early. We are approaching the month of March where it may start to get thicker while we get toward the bulk of the season, but this is a concern for me. The next matchup, if you did not see this, I'm mad at you, or if you didn't see the highlights, whoa, Nelly. The Brooklyn Nets go into Golden State, win this matchup 134-117, in which this was a light night for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had 20 points, right? But the player to watch with James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Like, okay, there were a couple of moves in this game that Kyrie did. Like, I think that Kyrie took this game personal. Like, and the reason why I say it like that, right, is I think more or less a lot of people always watch Steph go off and have these games where he's cooking and everybody loves him dropping a three ball and, you know, shimmying and doing all of this stuff. Well, they did a quality job. They held Steph to 27, which is fair with him being at home. He was 10 for 17 from the floor, right? But like I said, the player to watch to me for this one was James Harden. James Harden, and it's not even like James Harden had to sit, one of those 40 or 50-point games like he used to in Houston. He had 19 points, 16 assists, and 8 rebounds. Like, he was 2 rebounds away from a triple-double, but that would have been gaudy if he got the 2 rebounds. And it's still gaudy stats right now. He was just setting the table, and like I said, Kyrie was just doing some wonderful stuff and taking everybody to the rim. There was a couple of plays where Draymond was going at KD, and KD couldn't stop him because, with the 6 points that he able to provide. But he got to the rim okay, and you could just see that it was like he was trying to bully ball Kevin Durant. So I like to see that. But, it was a mild night. And KD being out of the lineup all week long was pretty interesting in itself. So I had to get that one out there also, just to say the least. Here goes the interesting part of Saturday, right? So we have these two guys here, Sports City, and I love it. This is where the heat could actually start. But I know we got some more like meat and potatoes going on throughout the remainder of the show. The New York Knicks hosted the Houston Rockets, right? The score was 121-99. I want you to guess who won the game, as we have two of Sports City's best here, right? I want people to guess. Like, anybody want to put their hand up, guess about this situation? I don't know. Anybody? Nope. Nobody. Okay. Well, I'll do it because nobody. Right. And I feel bad about it because I'm not a Knicks fan or a Houston fan. I can't stand Houston.
You don't feel bad.
Look, that's a blowout. That's a blowout. And the Knicks smoked them 121-99. So I had to bring that one to the kids before I got to the last game on Saturday. The Utah Jazz beat the Miami Heat in Salt Lake City 112-94. Now, Sports City, I know that I get into a lot of these conversations with people, especially on this platform and other platforms, and a lot of people got mad at me, I want to say about like 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I was like, Donovan Mitchell should be in the MVP conversation. It was like, are you crazy? Donovan Mitchell can't be in the MVP conversation? Do you know what Giannis just said yesterday? Utah is the best team in the West. So to me, I think the Western Conference is better than the Eastern Conference. If you want to debate that, we can. So they're the best in the West, and this is a guy from the Eastern Conference who is your back-to-back MVP. And the leader of Utah, to me, is Donovan, even though that they've been doing this team basketball-wise. Like, I can't really just totally give everything to Donovan, but I'm going to point my finger at Shaquille O'Neal. And I love Shaq. Not the Lakers Shaq. I didn't like Shaq when he went to L.A., but just the person of Shaquille O'Neal, I love him. But for him to call out Donovan like that and putting this fire underneath them, Utah has responded to take this all off of his shoulders. And this Quinn, I don't know whether to give the credit to the team, Quinn Snyder, or Donovan himself, but they are doing it. They're ahead of everybody in the West and the league. So. Shout out to what they've been able to do. Shout out to that kid out of Greenwich, Connecticut, the border of Stanford. You know what I'm saying? And I know it won't happen. I know Utah won't get a championship. But if he keeps this up with the play that Utah's been able to do this season, at least let him get this MVP. I mean, come on. I don't know. I never expected Utah to be sitting on top of the West right now. And they could go through a string of losses or what have you, but I'm not. I don't know. I just feel different. Anything that you guys would like to add from some of the scores of the games or what I just spoke on with Utah before I get away from NBA?
I'll go first since my team won. I got bragging rights. I got bragging rights, villain. Now listen, The Rockets didn't show up to play yesterday, so that was pretty much an easy win. But I'm impressed with the Nets because the Nets were serious notes that they didn't come to play. They didn't come to play last night. They came to the game late and they put in a good run at the end, but they didn't start off the game. They just didn't look like they wanted to be there. I mean, they didn't have their Oladipo, which was fair, but and that's a game the Knicks had to win because they Oladipo wasn't in the game. So I'm not going to go into it because I may be a villain, but TP's the real villain. We all know that, people. We all know who likes to throw the knives in the side and shake with the right hand and stab you with the left. I'm up
here helping. Listen. I'm up here helping you feel good this morning, and then you do this. Especially after I had you talking about you want people to be nice and all of this other stuff, and I
don't need heroes to do that for me. UConn won, my Knicks won. I got my babies here. I'm good. The villain's good. The villain is you. The villain is all of us. We're all villains, right?
No. See, and then he won't even let me finish talking. Like he won't even let me finish talking. But go ahead, finish up.
No, because you trying to preach to the choir. You ain't preaching from the right book. We in Leviticus. You talking about Job 6? Come on now. Listen. Here's the deal.
Amen.
You're in the wrong chapter. No, you know what it is though. Honestly, I love what the Nets did. They kind of put their foot down and said, hey, if this lineup might not work all the time, if there's games that's going to work, there's games that's not going to work. We still need to play better defense. We still need bigs. But at the end of the day, the best point guard we have on this team is James Harden. And to put Kyrie Irving at the 2, off ball. And you could see it last night. 19 points and 16 assists is just ridiculous. And the Warriors aren't the Warriors of old. Even KD said it in the post game. It would have been nice to see Clay there and all that good stuff. But that's still a very good basketball team. And, kind of just spreading the ball out efficient. KD 20 points, Harden 19 points. You know what I mean? That's what they need to do. They need to score, but score efficiently. We don't need, everybody going for, trying to get theirs. You know what I mean? And Harden doesn't need to score 30 points a night for this team to be really good efficiently on offense. If he gets 20 points, when you need a bucket, if he can get you a bucket, but if he can facilitate the offense, get other people involved, and get other guys' confidence going, not the main stars, but the Joe Harrises of the world, then this is a better team. This team can compete. And I've got to say it too. I would love to see Donovan Mitchell get the MVP, and why can't the Jazz win a championship this year? Because they're on a hot streak right now that we haven't seen a lot of teams go on. But hey, they're a damn good team, top to bottom team. Not one star, a couple stars, top heavy like the Nets or the Lakers. This is a 1 through 12 deep team. This is a good basketball team, and they put it to the Bucks last night. So. Giannis came out there and respected the real. Like, the Jazz are a good basketball team. They're not, just because they're the Jazz, they think that they might not be able to win. They can win. And, they're going to give whoever they play in the playoffs a lot of problems.
Okay, Sears, I know that there was something that you wanted to say before I get away from it.
Honestly, man, I'm gonna start with the Rocket thing, and then I'm gonna move on. We're not playing a good basketball right now, at all. We can't play defense. We're not making shots. Obviously, the injury to Christian Wood is showing itself, and it seems like he was the catalyst for a lot of our success. We have a half a star and Oladipo and a half a star in John Wall, but either one of them are equipped to carry a team in the Western Conference. Keep in mind, these are two guys who have played the bulk of their career in the Eastern Conference, where it's a whole different ball game in the Eastern Conference. Like, Oladipo was carrying the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference. John Wall was part of a duo in the Eastern Conference that was able to carry. So at the end of the day, we got to, play decent ball. We're not doing that. On to the Utah Jazz. I'm humbly apologizing because I was not expecting the Utah Jazz to be this type of dominant. Now, with that being said, I need to see that in the playoffs. I need to see what happens come postseason when they run up into a 7-game series, or they run into a Clippers team or a Lakers team or a Denver team or something like that. But with that being said, I'm co-signing with Dylan. It's very possible Donovan Mitchell can win the MVP. I'm not picking him to win the MVP. For as of right now, that's Joel Embiid's honor, to which I owe him another deal of apology. I've sat on this very network. I've been on social media, and I have said, and I quote, Joel Embiid is not a superstar. I said it. I've given you guys stats and statistics to back that up. And I guess he paid attention and listened, or got himself a coach that is, using him as a local point, because this brother right now is balling, and he's healthy and balling. So salute to Joel Embiid and the 76ers. A tough loss yesterday at the hands of the Phoenix Suns. Again, no shade to the 76ers for losing that game. The Phoenix Suns are one of the premier teams out west. Thomas, you hit it on the head as you were throwing it around. They have to do something about winning away from home. But with that being said, again, salute to them. Curious to see how they turn out going down the stretch as we go into the All-Star break. I wonder if they're going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. If they're going to get somebody else to come in there and play alongside them. There have been a bunch of names being floated around. And so let's see what happens, man. But, again, salute to Joel Embiid. Salute to Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz. Christian Wood, hurry back, bro. We need you. The Knicks still suck. And let's go.
Unbelievable how you can throw that Knicks could still suck, and we just beat just wax that butt. I mean, come on now, serious. Come on now.
I said what I said. Fresh out of church. I can't lie fresh out of church. I said what I said.
I mean, listen, you don't have to lie. Just tell the truth. The truth will set you free. Come on now. TP, I'm not going to let him get away with this either, because this is the second time in as many weeks that he has repented his evil ways. First it was with Tom Brady, the GOAT. Now it's with Joel Embiid. See, serious, your mind of thinking just doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work for you anymore. Like, the way you think, like, the Rockets and, like, the Knicks stink and, like, Joel Embiid and a superstar, you got to come I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to bring you to the school of villainy. I'm trying to help you think in a way that will save yourself and save the people around you. Joel Embiid is that dude.
Wait, hold on. You telling him? Hold on. You telling him to be a villain? You telling him to be a villain fresh out of church? Out of church? You telling him to be a villain? That's
villain. Villain. It's all a matter of perspective. TP. The bad guy isn't really a bad guy. It's because they're going against what people think is good. The good of TP. Tymeless ain't a hero. The people think he's good. That's not good. That boy good. No, the villain good. The villain is good. I'm the truth, man. I'm the way of the world of good thinking. You know what I mean? I'm gonna show you how you should think about sports. Not TP Tymeless. That's not gonna work for you.
This is the crazy part. This is the part when Barry put the chicken bone in the collection pot. And I'm Randy Watson with my Jerry curl and my baby blue suit. Everybody said that boy good. They see me up there getting it on. Yeah, right, exactly. That's what happened. I'm up there with my Jerry curl, flocking in my blue suit with sexual chocolate behind me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what happened. And then here go him hating with his chicken bone up here eating. And them people up there telling that boy good. And he don't want to hear it. And then you got people up here talking about Joel over Donovan Mitchell. We'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But right now, I mean, especially like I said, hold on. Like, let me finish talking. I know you antsy-pantsy. Go get some water or some warm milk. Do what you need to do so you can calm down. So, look, you got a situation where these guys cannot play away from South Philly. And you got a situation where Utah's only problem in the league are the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think it's more or less if Bogdanovich and Royce O'Neal can figure out a way to slow LeBron down, they got a shot to win that game. Otherwise, it's going to be tough for Utah to knock off the Lakers consistently. But other than that, these guys in their last 10 games, they are 9-1. They're on a 7-game winning streak. Philly is on a 2-game losing streak right now, and I think that's more or less of them being on the road and still dealing with their woes. You need Embiid to either step up or lock some people down, so on and so forth, but that's another conversation. Now, hold on. Before I go any further, I want to talk about, and I want to see how you guys quickly feel about this because there's a lot still. There's still many additions for me to deal with here. LeBron was warned by the NBA on the anti-flopping situation. Now, him and Kuzma got addressed because they both pulled this madness or in their last game up against the Grizzlies, I'm not mistaken. And if you see the play that LeBron pulled the BS and actually got the foul call from the referees, in the words of Killmonger, is this your king? Talking about he a Black Panther, and he going to lead y'all to the future. Wait, hold on. Okay, so it's a play when Dylan Brooks has LeBron completely boxed out. LeBron is boxed out. He can't get to the jump. Somebody shooting a jump shot. I forget who it was, but Brooks has him pinned. Grayson Allen comes on the other side of Brooks and, make sure LeBron can't get on the outside of him, but he's not doing anything dirty, even though Grayson Allen is probably the dirtiest NBA player I've seen since Bill Laimbeer, right? And LeBron can't do nothing. He's pinned, and the ball goes long, but the Grizzlies get it. LeBron throws both of his hands in the air and just falls on his back to the ground, and the refs gave him the call. If you see this man, Dylan Brooks turns around. Now, they're in the Staples Center, so you know he sold the refs. Dylan Brooks turns around and sees LeBron on the floor and just started laughing hysterically at him. Like, are you kidding? And the league just warned him. No, give him a fine just like everybody else, because I think this anti-flopping stuff was made up for LeBron, but they've never addressed them until this past situation has occurred. So I want to see how you guys feel about this. Is he still your king?
Okay, let me talk for a minute. Okay, here's the issue I have with this whole ordeal. All right, I don't understand why you want to talk to LeBron and fine him for flopping. Okay, and here's why. It's part of the game. It's the official's job to see what's going on and make an accurate call. You stop the flopping by not rewarding those who flop. On the same token, you stop people from pushing off in football for not throwing by throwing the flag or doing what you have to do. So, in other words, James Harden has made a career out of going into the lane, throwing himself recklessly into the arms of defenders, screaming, yelling, and getting and one. That's part of the game. And in order to literally eradicate that from the game of basketball, officials have to stop bailing these stars or these teams or these players out of doing that. Once the whistle stops blowing, the players will change. You can't really get mad at LeBron for taking advantage of a rule or taking advantage of a situation. You can't blame him for that.
First off, I don't know how this is a situation to defend him. I'm not watching this be defended at all. LeBron is 6'8", 6'9", and he's lost weight, but he's like a good 255, 250. He's going up against Grayson Allen, who at best is probably 6'5", probably 210 pounds, and Dylan Brooks is probably a little thicker. He's about 6'6", 6'5", 230, and you're boxed out, and you can't do nothing, so the only thing left to do is throw your hands in the air like you just don't care, and like you at some concert, right, and you got the call. I get it. James Harden is able to sell that because he does get contacted when he gets into the lane. I'm not going to say he's not getting touched while he gets to the rim. So it makes it almost like he's virtually impossible to guard because he knows how to – he's left-handed. It's hard to defend a left-handed player when you've been designed to force somebody left all the time. Now you're trying to force him right, and he won't go right because his strong hand is his left hand, and he does the swoop under a lot of the time when he's getting to the rim. And in the Euro step, he's going to draw contact. You're going to hit his wrist, his arm, his hand. Something's going to happen in there where he could sell it to the referee. If LeBron is going to flop like that, And knowing that he is the face of the NBA, knowing that they gave fines to Patrick Beverly and so on and so forth for these guys flopping, I still remember far back the one flop that still gets under my skin still to this day, even though it's a long time ago, was when they played the Knicks and he was on the Heat and Tyson Chandler was setting a screen and LeBron flopped so hard that he got not only did he get the offensive foul call, he got Tyson Chandler kicked out of the game because he flopped. And it was a screen set. It wasn't like Right. It's like, wait, hold on. You are doing this and tearing the integrity of the game up, and you're the face of the league, quote unquote, the best player in the league. Like, come on, LeBron. Every camera in America, no, I said America. Every camera in the world is on you, and they're watching you do this. Like, there's going to be kids that are in Afghanistan. Well, I don't know if they play ball in Afghanistan, but I'm just trying to throw something out there, like, that are going to want to play ball like this, and this is the style of ball that he's breathing while he's walking out of the door. Like, I get it. There's LeBron James. There's James Harden, who got caught up with the warning as well. But enough is enough. Go out there and play. It's already tough that you do this while you have the ball, and you are virtually unguardable because of your size. Like, you're either too tall, too fast, or too big for people, and it's like you already are selling the refs to get ready for them to blow the whistle. Like, it bothers me a ton. Barry, your thoughts on this situation? How do you feel about it, especially with him being warned instead of fined?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows I don't really like LeBron. I respect him as a ball player. I respect his legacy, where he is in the upper echelon of the game, but that ain't basketball. I mean, if you watch that play, I mean, it wasn't a flop. He just fell down and with his hands flailing. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, this is one of the reasons why I can't stand LeBron, because you're the best player in the league, in the world, one of the best players of all time, and you have to like resort to a chicken crap play of flopping. Flopping? Like, did you ever see Kobe or Michael or any of the great centers or Duncan any flopping like this? Like, and this is the guy that comes screaming down the lane, dunking the ball with authority, and then showing his muscles. Or a guy's grabbing his arms while he's flailing up to get a layup, makes the shot, and then shows his muscles. That's the same guy on this play on a rebound is flopping. Like he just got thrown to the ground. Like, I mean, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is crap. This is not basketball. This is not a part of the game, okay? Like, just give me a break. Give me a break. You're a great player. Great players don't have to resort to a crappy play like this. Like, dude. And you're right. Like, a warning is crap. More needs to happen. And Sirius is right. If this is a problem, then you need to call it out in the game, and instead of, make it I don't care. Give it a technical. I don't care. Give them a flagrant 2. I don't know what you want to give it, but give it something with gravitas that says this is not acceptable. This is not basketball. This is bush league crap. Okay, this is to me, this is on the level of the Astros stealing signs. This is a crap. This isn't basketball. That's crap. That's crap. You can do better than that, LeBron.
So here's my only retort to that. I mean, I honestly agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a cowardly way to play the game. I think it's a cowardly way to get bailed out of calls or get calls. Yeah. But the onus honestly should be on the officials to not call it. The players are going to try
call something else. Or make a call that says that flopping is unacceptable.
Exactly. So honestly, Barry, you and I are fathers, right? So when we tell our kids to not do something and they do it, they get punished, right? Or when we want to avoid them making a decision, that there are consequences for making said decision. So in order to officiate this better, you can't reward bad behavior. Flopping is bad behavior, but for so long, stars and other players alike get rewarded for that. Kyle Lowry has made a killing off of taking charges or getting touched and falling and yelling and screaming, and he gets the call. So, I mean, it's not just LeBron. It's not just Harden. I mean, NBA stars all over the the pantheon of basketball. Just forget NBA stuff. I was watching a high school game a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, and it's going on the high school level. I referee AAW and Little League basketball. They're doing it at that level. They are teaching these kids how to flop and how to put officials in bad situations where they have to make a call, and 9 times out of 10, rather than not put your whistle in your mouth, these officials are making the call. You have to get that out of the game altogether, and you have to stop doing that.
Yeah, who? I was just gonna ask you, serious, who does that? Who teaches that? And you could see, these guys are getting it from these. It's it's trying to get cheap calls and get cheap, victories. It's like in baseball, when you get hit with a pitch and you you got killed, and you know what I mean, and to get that extra timeout to give your guy a rest or something like that. It's like that sports one-upsmanship where you go out to talk to the pitcher so you can give the bullpen time to warm up.
Exactly.
But it's that's a part of the game. That's not really trying to steal a call. You know what I mean? This is trying to steal a call. Trying to steal a cheap foul. It's ridiculous. Play back. If you're great, be great. You don't need cheap calls to make yourself great. You know what I mean? That's just it's a microcosm of the idea of me not really liking him because he went to other teams to get those cheap rings. To me, instead of staying in Cleveland and working it out, you went to other teams to get that win because you wanted the easy way to do it. You want the easy call to win the game or in the moment. Be great. You're great. Be great. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it, TP.
Okay, listen, you need to come to a cafe. You need to bring your tail to a crossover cafe because you're cooking crazy. You're cooking like crazy in the middle of the brunch, and I have things to get to. But it's interesting that both of you have done your job on the discussion, and I'm going to talk about a player that I love so I can get away from this. And I played the power forward position, so I love players that play in the paint, from LJ to Sean Kemp to Rasheed Wallace. If you're going to tell me that we're going to make a rule that you can't talk back to the referee, then you follow it up by, you can't look at the referee, and then you follow that one up where you can't flail your hand at the referee, and as soon as she talked to the ref, the next game, he got a text and a fine. As soon as he looked at the ref, he got a text and a fine. As soon as he heard something that he didn't like on the floor, he flailed his hand, he got a text and a fine. Stop that. Stop that. You got people that you're picking on, but LeBron is the one that you're trying to address this to, or James Harden, and you're picking on one and don't want to give it to the other. Listen, y'all better set this table differently because I will cook all day long on this, and I'm not playing. And they picked on Sheed his entire career until he doggone hung it up. So I'm going to leave this there because you guys are spilling all into my stuff, and my big plot has come to a complete Excuse me. I don't cut you off when you're talking. Please stop doing it to me. Now, my pot that I had sitting here is come to a complete boil. I have to lift the lid off of this. But before I lift the lid off of this, I have one statement that I'm going to say as stern as I can. You have a problem, Houston. Period. And I'm talking about the Texans, or all sports. The Astros with them stealing signs, like Barry said. The Rockets, they're figuring it out with Harden leaving, but it's interesting to see the situation. And the Texans, you just released J.J. Watt? Are you kidding me? And then you're telling DeShaun Watson he's not leaving? The owner, McNair, said he's not leaving, like eminently saying that. So this is going to be very interesting to see if DeShaun plays or not. But Houston, I had to get that out of the way. I know I could go longer into the J.J. Watt situation. I probably will later. But Sports City, I'm here because Barry said that I ain't no hero, the real villain, right? So Sirius came, and as soon as he did his intro, he's going, well, I want to do this statistics and this thing, that, and the third, and then, with this dude Greenwood, and, I'm going to keep it real good, keep it funky, this, that. I'm like, chill out, man. I got it. So Sports City, welcome in Mr. Controversy himself, James Greenwood. Welcome to the brunch. How are you feeling this afternoon?
Well, I'm feeling great. I am excited, actually. This isn't a deep dive because I don't want to go like crazy on this, but I've got some numbers. Those numbers look good for me. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, so see how Sirius tried to come for me, and you were sitting there just being patient. I'm trying to conduct this thing and put some stuff, and he heard every word of that. And I'm trying to tell Sirius, chill out. I just asked how he was doing. That's all. So, Sports City, we had something go down here in this kitchen like we normally do every single week, and it got real hot. And I'm not gonna lie, every single day after that, it got hotter. It got real hot all week long. So I'm gonna let these guys go at it because this should be pretty interesting because it's normally me that got to be a debater. I want to get my popcorn ready, TO status, and I can throw punch in, but I'll let you guys set this one up. So, Sirius, I'll let you set the table, if you will, and then I'll let James respond, and we can have the dialogue. Well, we have a good 45 minutes of this one.
So, gentlemen, we was all sitting here in the building. I think it was Wednesday when Mr. Greenwood came in here at the tail end of the show and started trying to feed the people some Brussels sprouts with no salt, trying to throw some spaghetti on the plate with no sauce. And we wasn't having that here in the building. We wasn't having that here in the building. Pretty much the gentleman was trying to say that the quarterback position doesn't necessarily need to be paid, if I remember correctly. He was also talking about how – yeah, hold on a second,
Sure.
I'm gonna throw this at you in a minute. He was also talking about something about how Carson Wentz needed to get paid, how Jared Goff didn't need to get paid, and we were trying to tell Mr. Greenwood here that not only was that ludicrous to mention that, but at the time when the deals were made, it was the correct move to make for said franchise. So Mr. Greenwood decided to start talking crazy, like as per normal. We love him for that, but as per normal, and say that he has statistics to back up his stance. So Greenwood, by all means, try to save yourself, sir.
Sure. So I want to make the argument very clear. We are not talking about not paying Patrick Mahomes. We're not talking about not paying Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about not paying Drew Brees. Now I think he's a little too old to pay now. He's retired. But when he was in the league and an obvious top 5 quarterback, I'm not saying you don't pay Russ, even though I had made that stance before until I actually looked into it. And let's be honest, Russ is actually deserving of, a big money contract. I am not saying you do not pay DeShaun Watson, who currently I would say is a top 5 quarterback in the league. So any guys who are unassailable, top 5 quarterbacks in the league who have done it over multiple years, without weapons, those guys you pay. Every other quarterback in the league, unless they come at a price that is reasonable for their skill level, which no quarterback in the current market does. Jared Goff did not do it. Carson Wentz did not do it. Right now, Dak Prescott is demanding top 5 consistent NFL money at the quarterback position when he is not a top 5 consistent NFL quarterback. I say that what I am saying is that you allow these guys to walk. This is my prescription to teams is to let those guys walk and let other teams who have more money than sense make that mistake for them. Now, here's the data that I have been able to build up over the past, 4 or 5 hours. I wish I had
James,
James.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me get a chance to retort on that, and then you can bring your data, and then we can go back and forth. Okay. So here's the deal.
Sure.
And serious, I got this for you too. All right. I don't disagree that Carson Wentz should never have got that contract. I don't disagree that Jared Goff shouldn't have got that contract. So I don't disagree with you there. I think that was maybe a misconception on the show. I never disagreed that they shouldn't get paid. The thing is that the business dictates position gets paid, okay? They're the most important position in the league. If you get a quarterback in the league after their rookie deal starts to run down and you believe that they are worth keeping, you have to pay them accordingly, okay? You don't pay a VP the same price that you would pay a manager or an assistant. If he's a VP, you have to pay market rate, okay? That's any job, okay? So if you have a quarterback that you want to bring and keep on the team after you drafted him, you have to pay the going rate. It's just unfortunate in the NFL that the going rate keeps getting matched year after year. Like, you know, Stafford was the guy, then Ryan and Rodgers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So whose fault is that? The owners are paying them. The owners are giving the money, okay? They're the idiots, not the players. The players are asking for the money. The agents are doing what they're supposed to do, getting their clients paid, okay? So that's the whole money issue. My thing was, and that me and Sirius are kind of saying, and he agreed with me, is that quarterbacks should have their own cap, okay? They shouldn't count against the cap because of the way the game is kind of built and the way the game is structured. Like you have bird rights in the NBA. Quarterbacks should have bird rights, quote unquote, in the NFL where their money doesn't impact the cap because their money keeps going up, and it's been going up. It hasn't gone down, and I don't suspect it will ever go down. So that's kind of where I sit on it. But you were coming out and saying, okay, it's just ridiculous to pay these guys. That's not the business. The business is paying these guys. The business is if you get a good quarterback because they're hard to find, you got to pay them. Ask the Jets. Would they pay that money for a good quarterback if they had it? Absolutely, because they ain't had a good quarterback since Joe Namath, okay? Like, there's a lot of teams that, you know, the Giants got lucky when they got Eli Manning. They're not sure about Daniel Jones. You know, there's teams out there that haven't – when's the Dolphins? They thought they had their guy and Tannehill. They're still looking for a quarterback. They hopefully got him in Tua. They might have to pay him. What if he doesn't work? They haven't replaced Dan Marino. There's teams that don't get lucky like the Packers that have Favre and they go right into Aaron Rodgers. There's teams looking for quarterbacks, and they will pay money because that position is the most important position in the NFL. So I'm curious about your stats, but you can't. You're trying to devalue a position that is so hard to find and so hard to get that guy that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl. Out of 32 quarterbacks, there's only one quarterback that's going to hold that trophy up at the end of the year. So you got to pay that guy if you think that he's the one that's going to get it to you. And the league is now flipping on their head and saying, you know what, Matt Stafford, you're not my guy. Goff, you're not my guy. You're good, but you're not good enough to win me a Super Bowl. I'm going to find me a quarterback that is. And that's where the league is at. That's why all these quarterbacks are going to be on different teams this year. So, James, show me what you got. Let's get into the data. Let's see what you got.
Sure. So let's start with the most damning piece of evidence, and that is I took a look over the course of the past 2020 to or from 2020 all the way back to 2013. The reason why I went back to 2013 is twofold. One, I could not get any data further back than 2013, and also that's probably 3 years into the salary cap for draft picks, right? So if I wish I could get 3 more years worth of data, because then that would be the 10 years of the 10 years where rookie quarterbacks were getting capped on their rate. Actually, I might have gotten that year wrong. But either way, I'm still going back up to 2013 because that was the day I could achieve. So in 2020, and this is the worst year for my argument this past season, of the 14 Super Bowl or 8 of the 14 playoff teams were in the top 14 in quarterback payout. And by quarterback payout, I'm including starters and backups. They had invested the most, or in the top 14. I use 14 because that's the number of playoff teams. So I think that's a fair metric. And also the Super Bowl winner was Tom Brady, who was the 8th highest paid quarterback. Is Tom Brady, and the Bucs invested the 8th most amount of money into the quarterback position that year. That is the worst year for my argument, and I do need to dig further and figure out exactly why this year is an outlier. But even if I don't, of those quarterbacks, I believe 4 of them are considered unassailable top 5s. You're talking about your Tom Brady, your Pat Mahomes, even though he was not a top 5 quarterback this year in pay, because he's still on the back end of his rookie deal. Because they signed him in an extension for that long, he still keeps that rookie deal contract until he hits the end of that rookie deal, which is why he's also not this year, I believe, a top 10 paid quarterback as far as cap hit. 2019, on the other hand, that was last year, only 4 of the 12 Super Bowl teams had top 12 investments in quarterback position. The Super Bowl winner was the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, and they were the 25th pay as far as quarterback investment. We'll go back.
Wait. Hold on. So you're just trying to point out the fact that everybody knows that the money doesn't equate Super Bowls. Is that what you're trying to? Is that what we're trying to do here?
Well, yeah, money does not equate Super Bowls, but
I mean, we know that. We know that because the name of the game is drafting a young quarterback on a cheap deal. No, but we know that. We know that the name of the game is drafting a young quarterback, getting him on a rookie contract, trying to build a winner around him with the extra cap space in his first 3-4 years to win a Super Bowl. We know that. That's the game. That's
my point. So it's the
but eventually that guy gets paid. Eventually he gets paid his market value. The market value isn't a rookie deal. So his rookie eventually his market value is a $40 million contract. You can't sit here and keep saying that they're going to. If I was Russell Wilson, I'm going to keep playing on my rookie deal until I retire.
Never said Russell
Why
Wilson.
wouldn't I get my market value?
Yeah, use a different example.
Would you be a VP of a company? No. Would you be the VP of a company on an assistant contract, on an assistant salary? Would you keep doing that? Would you keep bringing money into a company as a VP of a company on a salary that an assistant would make on a $20,000 million? No, you would want your market value.
Check this out. Hold on. Let me use your analogy for a minute, and then I'll shut up and go back to serious. But let me use your analogy for a second. Okay, so now let's say but will you pay a VP, somebody who has the talent of a VP, would you pay them CEO money? You wouldn't. You wouldn't pay them. You wouldn't pay them. At a rate that is more than what they are worth, more than what they're worth to the company.
Go ahead.
Let me say something real quick. So we all work a 9 to 5. We do whatever we do to put food on our table for our families, right? You come in entry level position. You bust your behind. You do what you need to do, and you progress up the company ladder. From that progression, you get compensated for said progression. So in the event that at the time a Carson Wentz, since we like to use him, since at the time Carson Wentz showed and proved that he was above the company line and that he was progressing, then the Philadelphia Eagles had to compensate him for said progression, or we find ourselves in the middle of a quarterback controversy or quarterback going back into the draft. That's why the New York Jets consistently get it wrong, because they can't evaluate talent. They can't sit there and pay their quarterbacks what they're worth because they keep doing stupid stuff and not putting a value on the most important position in sports. Now, again, we can look at hindsight being 2020 and being like, you know what, maybe the Philadelphia Eagles shouldn't have paid, that type of money, or maybe okay, but that's hindsight being 2020. You know what I'm saying? At the time when the deal was made, Carson Wentz was an MVP caliber quarterback. At the time the deal was made, he was on the trajectory of a Patrick Mahomes. He was on the trajectory of a Russell Wilson. He was on the trajectory of a DeShaun Watson. But and you had to keep that guy there. I'm the Dallas Cowboys. I'm throwing the Brinks truck at Dak Prescott.
Exactly.
He proved his worth being injured this past year than he could have ever did while he was playing. He exceeded expectations. You drafted Dak Prescott in the third or fourth round. I forget when he was drafted, but you drafted him late. He comes in there. He balls out. He solidified that position for years to come. You pay that man. You don't go back into the well and be like, because I don't want to invest this type of money in this type of situation, I'm not going to pay him. You work a 9 to 5 every day. If your boss did that to you, you would be on unemployment looking for another job because your value demands that you get paid what you're worth. Nobody goes to work every day like, I'm going to take bare minimum because I want them to spend money in the filing department. I want them to spend money, in the research department. You do what you do. You go to school. You bust your ass. You get your bread, and you keep it moving. That's how companies work.
Hold on. I think you're misunderstanding my my argument. My argument is not that Dak Prescott should not ask for $36 million a year. I am saying that the Dallas Cowboys should not pay him $36 million a year. Those are very different scenarios, and the league is never going to reset the market back to where quarterbacks are getting paid what they deserve, as opposed to resetting the market every 5 years. If they do not take the risk, if they do not. All these. I mean, with the exception of the Patrick Mahomes deal, which is very different. Every quarterback is trying to set the market and get paid more than their value. And when we're talking about value, I'm not talking about the market. I'm talking about their value, not their market price. Because those two are very different.
But they're trying to get paid
their value is their ability to get you to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl. Because owners make more money when their teams win. You're only paying 5-10 quarterbacks in the league, and everybody else is dog shit that only deserves minimum wage. Well, let me ask you a question. Sure. James, let me ask you a question. If you're the Cowboys, under your scenario, you don't want to pay Dak Prescott. What do you do next year? So you draft a quarterback, and you continue to draft quarterbacks here's why. No. Hold on. You want to draft a quarterback? Sure. Okay. You have the 12th pick in the draft. What do you do? Mm-hmm. Who's falling to 12? It depends on who's available, but no, it doesn't depend on who's available. If you're at the number 12 position, you're at number 12, and if you think you're asking which quarterback? Hold on. You're asking which quarterback drops to 12? Yeah. That's going to win. Is that what you're asking? That's going to win in Dallas. So in a high-pressured place, the star, the most popular football team in the world. What pick was Patrick Mahomes drafted at? Patrick Mahomes was an anomaly. The name of the game isn't waiting for somebody to fall to you. But wait, what draft pick? What draft pick? Hold on. Let me ask the next question. What draft pick was Lamar Jackson drafted at? He was drafted at the back of the draft because nobody believed he was a good quarterback, and the jury's still out on him. He may win an MVP, but he's only got one playoff win in his career. How many Super Bowls does Lamar Jackson have? Okay, you're trying to tell me. Well, I mean, if we're talking then how many Super Bowls does any quarterback that's not Tom Brady have? You're trying to tell me that the Cowboys should wait for lightning in a bottle. That they should wait for an anomaly to happen at number 12. If there's a quarterback that they think that they should win at, why are they going to wait at 12 for somebody else to draft them? Why would they wait
for somebody to draft ahead of them to trade picks to move ahead of them to get them. Why would you do all that if you already have a quarterback under contract that's a top 10 quarterback in this league that you think can win you a Super Bowl? Why would you do that? That's not smart business. Why would you? And under your scenario, James, you're trying to tell me that a VP should get their rate, but then you're paying more for a CEO. So if the quarterback is a VP, who's the CEO? The head coach? The owner?
So there's no cap on a head coach, so you should pay the head coach whatever.
Who's the position player that's at the CEO level ahead of a quarterback? Nobody.
So okay,
the most important position is the quarterback.
So
ask
saying
every
that,
team that lost a quarterback this year.
So I am of the position that even if we take your business scenario, which while it's somewhat analogous, it's not completely analogous because there's no cap. There's no maximum that you are allowed by law to pay a CEO, whereas there is a maximum number by the rules of the NFL that you can pay a team, and with that, it's now opportunity cost, to use a business term. Now, instead of being able to pay your star left tackle, your star cornerback, your star defensive lineman, Aaron Donald, even though, yes, you can pay one guy, but what if you've got a actual team around them? Now, is it more, as a quarterback, more likely to succeed coming from the draft with a strong foundation around them, or is a quarterback who does not have a strong foundation around them but is exceptionally good more likely to win?
Okay,
and
so
that is the ultimate. Because ultimately, every player wants to get their money. I am saying that the difference between a top paid quarterback and a middle of the road quarterback is the full salary of two all-star players.
So let me ask you this question, just for kicks and giggles. How difficult is it to get the quarterback position right in the draft, as opposed to drafting? So as opposed to drafting a stud left tackle or stud corner in the later round. There are 32 quarterbacks that go out on the field every day, and they hold the keys to every team's fate. You have to pay the good ones. You have to bite the bullet and pay the adequate ones more than you want to pay, because you can't run the risk of that not being correct. You can go in the draft and find a right tackle. You can go in the draft and find a corner. Hell, you can go on a free agency and find a decent left tackle. You can go on a free agency and find a decent quarterback. But it's very difficult in this business to go into free agency, to go back into the draft and get that quarterback position correct. And when you have one on your roster that you believe that you can build around, i.e. a Dak Prescott, then you have to pay him so he doesn't go elsewhere and win a championship for another team.
And I'm sorry. I had it wrong. The Cowboys picked 10. My fault. The Cowboys picked 10. The Giants picked the 49ers picked 12. But here's the deal.
Sure.
You're a GM, okay? You got a quarterback that you had in-house that progressively got better and has proved himself to be a top 10 quarterback, and when healthy can lead you into the playoffs, okay? You're going to go to your owner, the owner of the team, and you're going to tell them, we're not going to pay them. We're going to hope to get a Mahomes in the draft. I'm going to bank my job on lightning in a bottle and possibly drafting a quarterback at 10, because let's be honest, we don't know if these quarterbacks pan out or will be great because of who Mel Kiper or anybody says about them in the draft. We don't know. Like, that's why, Lamar Jackson slid to the back half of the first round. So did Geno Smith, and he stinks. Okay, so we don't know where these guys are going to pan out, but you're going to bank your job on an unknown commodity.
Then you have to explain.
Hold on, James. James, let me finish. You're going to bank, as a GM, you're going to bank your job on an unknown commodity that may or may not win, other than the guy that's in-house that's proven that he can win at this level. And you're going to justify that to your boss. Me, personally,
here's my question to you, all right? So first, why am I paying a top 10 QB, top 5 QB money? That is my first question. Why are you paying him above his station? You're paying him above his station. Let me finish. I let you go. Let me finish. My next question is, why in the past 7 years of Super Bowl winners, this is going back all the way back to 2013 in the Seattle Seahawks, why is it that only two quarterbacks in the entire league, or in the two of the 7 quarterbacks in the past 7 years of the Super Bowl and the NFL, only 2 of them have been paid top 10 money? It's not like Aaron Rodgers got worse one year, or that Tom Brady got worse one year, or that Drew Brees got worse one year. Yes, sometimes they go down, sometimes they get injured. But if the quarterback's the end all be all, and they are the only thing that really matters, to the effect that you pay a mediocre quarterback the same money as 3 other star players at their position, and I'm talking like Pro Bowl caliber guys at their positions, then why is it that quarterback investment is not just, it's not something that equals playoff success. It is antithetical to playoff success.
This is what I'm going to do, and I hate answering questions with a question, but I'm going to ask you a question, because you asked me why are the Cowboys paying a top 10 quarterback top 5 money? What is the going rate for a top 10 quarterback? What is the pay scale for a top 10 quarterback? And then what's the pay scale for a top 15 quarterback? What's the pay scale for a top 5 quarterback? Give me the number.
So let's.
No. What's the? It's not what they're being paid right now.
So are you asking what I would pay? Or are you asking what the?
No. I'm not asking. Here's what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you what they are getting paid. I'm not asking you I'm asking you the number that you're supposed to pay a top 15 quarterback. What's the number? Because obviously, in your mind, it's not a number. It's more of a percentage of the cap. It's more of a percentage of the cap. This is the point. Yes. There is no number. There is no number that says if you're a top 15 quarterback, you're supposed to get $20 million a year. If you're a top 5 quarterback, you're supposed to get $40 million a year. There is no pay scale for a cornerback that's the top 5 cornerback in the league, and then a cornerback that's the top 60 cornerback in the league. There is no scale like that. You get paid by your position. Quarterbacks get X, like DNs get X. That's it. So if you're a quarterback, guess what? You get the top scale. That's it. There's no scale based on your rank. Okay, if there was, that the NFL top 100 list would get reshuffled. Everybody would be on a 1-year contract. When the top 100 list comes out, their pay scale would get reshuffled. That's not how the NFL works. You pay your quarterback based on the quarterback market value, not on the top ranking of the quarterback value.
No, but when you are negotiating for what rate you're going to pay your quarterback, that is something that should be front and center. Hey, you're asking to be paid Patrick Mahomes money. You're not Patrick Mahomes, buddy. You should, and this is something that happens every single negotiation since Pat got his money. The player comes in and says, I want Pat Mahomes money. You're not worth Pat Mahomes money. You're not Pat Mahomes. Or they'll say, hey, this is what Tom Brady got in his contract. You're not Tom Brady. You don't deserve Tom Brady money, even though Tom Brady historically has always taken less money than his market value, and that's why he wins so much. Or it's not why he wins so much, but it's a portion of why he wins so much, is because he understands what it means to have a team around you. He's willing to take less money, even as arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and arguably
not
on any given year.
Not a lot of people have the business ventures that Tom Brady has. Okay, TB12 as a brand. I don't see it as a brand.
Honestly, go ahead, TV.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't agree with that. I think that was serious. Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Okay. No, what I was saying was, what I'm saying was, so here's the thing. Like, I understand essentially the point you're trying to make, that you need to build a team around, your quarterback, and through the team concept, and these quarterbacks taking less money or whatever the case may be, that gives you the better shot at winning. I get that. Believe me, I get you. But at the end of the day, that's not how business works. You know what I'm saying? That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? In the business sense of things. For example, you know what I'm saying? All right, so Tom Brady routinely takes less money to have a team around him, this, that, and the third. All right, that's Tom Brady, okay? These other quarterbacks, these other GMs, there are no Tom Brady's growing on trees. There are no Patrick Mahomes growing on trees. There are no Aaron Rodgers growing on trees. Ben Roethlisberger's growing on trees. Like, these are the quote-unquote elite quarterbacks in today's game. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to compete, you got to have some type of competency in that position. You can't continue to go back to the well every year and address this position, or every 4 years and address this position over and over again. This isn't running back. The shelf life of a running back is 3 to 5 years. We've established that. But a quarterback, if you get yourself a decent quarterback and you take care of your quarterback and pay your quarterback and then build through the draft around, your quarterback, you have success. That's what Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs did. They drafted Patrick Mahomes. They paid him. They built through the draft and made a couple of splash free agent pickups, and they are where they are. You know what I'm saying? We just mentioned Tom Brady. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Tom Brady. They got rid of Jameis Winston, who's shown that he wasn't able to do that. You paid Tom Brady what you paid him. You sprinkle in some free agents, this, that, and the third, and here we go, the Super Bowl champion. You have to pay. What the market dictates for the value of position that you want to acquire.
Yes, but I'm saying that the market is out of whack. That's what I'm saying, because back a few exchanges ago, Barry said you can find a right tackle in the draft, you can find a left tackle in the draft, you can find a running back in the draft. But what I'm saying is that when we are talking about paying, like, the difference is massive right now. I mean, if we take a look at, and don't get me wrong, some teams can do it. The Indianapolis Colts have found, like, their draft record is ridiculous. They are pulling Pro Bowl caliber linebackers in the 4th round. So that's how they are able to pay up front the quarterback position and still maintain their team, but not, it's literally impossible for every team to do. So now if they were to flop on those picks, all of a sudden they are on the bottom of the barrel and their quarterback doesn't do anything for them. It's like buying.
That's the GM's job. That's his job.
Yeah, but why is it not the GM's job?
Yes, it is. You have to evaluate the talent in the draft to build the right team around the quarterback in the draft. But your problem
it's the GM's job to find
no quarterback. But you're trying to argue that no quarterback in this league other than the top 5 deserves to get paid. That's not how the game works. Listen.
So no, I'm saying they do not get to. They don't deserve to get paid so out of whack. So much.
You're saying it's out of whack because the market isn't dictating what the value of the quarterback is. You're saying that's why you're saying it's out of whack. Okay. That's their problem.
I'm saying that they have
to pay the quarterback.
Is their problem.
And
that's why I said.
But then they shouldn't have drafted him. If there was a better quarterback out there, then they shouldn't have drafted him. But then in your logic, you're saying, oh, wait until the 10th pick, and then hopefully you get the Mahomes there, and then you get lightning in the bottle, and you find a great quarterback. It's their fault that they drafted the quarterback that they have in the building, and they have to pay him. If they made the mistake and drafted the wrong quarterback,
don't have to pay
instead
him.
of waiting
They don't
30,
have to pay him. They can let him walk.
No, they shouldn't have drafted him. Captain Hindsight, they shouldn't have drafted him. If they had drafted the right quarterback and paid him, then they wouldn't have that problem. That's the point. Guess what? All those teams that passed on Lamar Jackson, maybe they should have drafted him.
Let's go back to Joe Flacco.
In the Lamar Jackson draft, who got drafted ahead of him? Who? Serious? Who got drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson?
Let's go to the Joe Flacco trade. Or not the Joe Flacco trade, the Joe Flacco contract. You keep on saying it's Captain Hindsight, but it's foresight. It's foresight. We all know when a quarterback, when you look at it and they say, and don't get me wrong, there are fringe cases. Like, hey, I don't think too many people are jumping up and down and yelling about how bad Carson Wentz's contract or Jared Goff's contract was. You know what? I'll take that I'll take the L on that. You know what? Hey, they outperformed their ability because they had great teams around them on their rookie contract, which they did. Both of them did, and they got that one wrong. But you're saying that nobody had the foresight on the Joe Flacco contract, that you couldn't tell beforehand that Joe Flacco, even though he quote unquote won a Super Bowl, that all of a sudden nobody knew, it was impossible to know that this guy was not worth the contract that the Baltimore Ravens gave him? Is that what you're seriously trying to tell me?
That's what
Who
the
cares
market
about Joe
dictated,
Flacco?
that you pay him. And honestly,
but you didn't have to pay him. You couldn't let him walk. And this is the part that
and let him walk and do what? Let him walk and do what, James? What would they if they just let him walk
and sign with a different team, or let him come back to you when he finds out that he can't make that money?
What were the Ravens going to do if they let him walk? Who would they get? Who would they have gotten that year? Tell me who was the better option that year. Tell me right now.
Literally anybody.
Who? Exactly. You don't know. You really don't know because you can't
do know.
Tell me that.
You know that was no. But you know that it was the wrong decision to make. Like, because you don't know. What was their other decision? What was their other option? If you can tell me what their other option was, I'll let you get that argument. But you can't tell me. You don't know the other quarterbacks that were there, the other options for them to get, and to be competitive and to win the league. You don't know. I'm sorry. Listen, the draft with Lamar Jackson, there was other quarterbacks picked ahead of him. Okay, so that was the Jets' fault that they picked. Yeah, exactly. That's the Jets' fault that they picked Sam Darnold. That's the Jets' fault. Now they got to pay him. If they don't want to pay him, they got to move on. If they had made the right draft pick, if they had done their job and evaluated the draft, then they would have got the right quarterback in house. They would have had Lamar Jackson. But it's not like they just failed at drafting the quarterback. That's what is the other part of that is they didn't just fail at drafting the quarterback. They failed at choosing the head coach. They failed at drafting the left tackle. They failed at drafting wide receivers. They failed on several defensive positions. Bad teams are not just – not every team in the league is a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions are the poster boy for this fact. They had arguably a top 7 quarterback for the entirety of his career, and a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Not currently,
Stafford is a top 7 quarterback.
For most of his career, totally. Yeah. Not currently, but for most of his career, I would say top 7 quarterback. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to get into that argument right now because that is something that we have. Because it would take some time. Yeah, it's so, but that's something we can revisit at another time. But yeah, I think that's fair for the majority of his career. Top 7's right around accurate. Yeah, sure. I want to double down and look into the numbers and everything like that, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Wins and losses are not a QB statistic. They're not. They are a part of because quarterbacks are a part of a team. That's kind of the overarching part. And yeah, they're a big part. They're the biggest part.
Neither is garbage time statistics either. So if QB wins and losses are not part of the statistics, you can't use garbage time, empty calorie yards and empty calorie touchdowns either.
Sure. And if those statistics exist that separate quarterback yards in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left or whatever you would consider garbage time, then I would be happy to look at those statistics. But you have to work with the data that you're given. And but either way, just having a quarterback does not mean. So the reason why quarterback statistics sometimes trend well with winning is because the quarterback is not only the most important piece on the chessboard, but it is also the most dependent piece on the chessboard. Pat Mahomes stood on his head in that Super Bowl, and because his 2 offensive tackles were backups and couldn't protect him, he didn't have the time to actually make throws. And his wide receivers dropped balls that hit them right in the helmet. That's not Pat Mahomes' fault. He was on target. He hit the guy in the hands or in the chest or in the face mask, and they dropped the ball. That's not Pat Mahomes' fault. And even though I would say if we take in consideration the challenges in front of them, Pat Mahomes probably played a better game than Tom Brady, just with the eyeball test. If you consider both of them with their challenges. But at the same time, the Bear quarterback lost that game. I'm not talking about all-time greatness or whatever, but the worst quarter. And, there are several examples of the worst quarterback the game or winning the Super Bowl. Having a great quarterback does not necessarily mean you win football games.
But it does put you in a conversation, put you in position to win more games than not having one. And you have to pay to get one or keep one in your building.
Sure. And
all right.
But every year. Sure. Okay, go ahead.
Finish because go finish because this is the end of the show. We got a minute left. So.
All right. So for a final closeout, at the end of the day, I am of overall when quarterbacks are paid higher than their station. So if you are the 10th best quarterback, you should be making the 10th best money. That is how your going rate should be when we are talking about how quarterbacks should get paid. So your average annual value at the quarterback position should be equal to your position at the current time of signing. That's what teams should fight for, but the teams have to be willing to allow that quarterback to walk. And otherwise, quarterback pay scale is going to go out of control. More out of control than already. That's me. I'm James. Love you guys. Peace.
All right, Sirius, I need a plug, close out, anything that you'd like to promote as we get up out of the brunch this afternoon.
Man, it's your boy Sirius up in that 412 and the 703, man. Such a pleasure to be here with you guys on a Valentine's Day edition of the brunch, man. Shout out to the queen, my wife Jess, who's holding it down, taking care of the little man while I am sitting here doing what I love. definitely check us out throughout the week, man. We got shows and bangles coming up, man. I'm in the lab right now working on another blog. So hopefully, if my son will cooperate with me, that'll be out first thing tomorrow morning. But definitely, man, check us out, man. We love you guys, man. Shout out to all the affiliates who are working with us, syndicated upon all across the network. We will see you guys next week, and that'd be good.
Yeah, tomorrow, check us out. We got the Crossover Cafe as well. A lot of interesting stuff. We went back. It just ramped up real fast from 3 shows to 4 shows to 5. We are now back to 6 shows a week. And your boy TP Tymeless has been getting it on. But the best thing about it is I did not have to cook for the last 45 minutes of this show. Fire, Sports City. So y'all tune in tomorrow. We'll have the Master Chef edition with the Crossover Cafe. The roundtable will be back Tuesday. Hopefully we could get James back in here with this because I got that Matt Stafford. I don't care where you put him, anywhere in his career, if he's a top 7 quarterback in the NFL. I pick a year, and I want to have that discussion, or wherever or a reign of years of when it's supposed to go down. But we'll get to it, Sports City. Y'all just stay focused, stay in tune with SportsCityChefs.com, the interviews, the blogs, the chefs, and everything that we got going, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, all of the other networks that you can hear us, even on Apple. We are doing big things and moving on big. Shout out to everyone that's came in with new shows as well and the new talent that we got in Sports City as well. On that note, tell a friend that it's the chefs again. And if they don't know, now they know.
Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs. Kaboom, Sports City chefs is in the room, cooking up hot topics to put up on your spoon. They well in tune, bloom like a flower in June. Superman versus MF Doom, the clouds loom. So tell a friend it's the Sports City chefs again. Pay attention, tune in, we on the set again. Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs, yeah. Cap, Taj.
Connecticut.